So thanks for the purchase of the T95 Mini from my shop. This is D with Tech Shop 82. And what you get with the kit is basically just the T95 Mini already flashed with the firmware that has WirePod ready to set up. You get the power adapter and then the HDMI cord. You don't need the HDMI cord for functionality. You just need that to see what your IP address once you plug it into your network in case you run into any issues. But these are the three things that come in the box. And next, we're going to set up a fresh factory reset vector and connect it to the WirePod server once I've connected this to my home internet. So once you've connected the T95 Mini to your network, and you've given it a while to boot, the light will turn in the front will turn blue. And give it like 5 minutes or so to kind of introduce itself to your network. Once you look on the screen, you will see an IP address for your device. If you don't see an IP address here, then that means it's not on your network. And you probably need to make sure your Ethernet cable is plugged in correctly and then unplug it and plug it back in to reboot. So on my network, my IP addresses are 0192168.0 and then a number. So this one has gotten the number 162. And then what you're going to want to do then is go to the final setup page and finish setting up WirePod. So I have my IP address, and then now I'm going to go to the setup page and finish setting that up. And yours won't have any of this stuff. I'm SSHing into the box so you can see what's on the screen. Yours won't have any of this top stuff. It'll just be the AWH6TV. Okay, so let's go over to the setup page. Let me minimize this. Okay, so this is what you'll see. And the IP address I went to is that 192.168.0.162 8080/initial.html. So the only thing you will need to change when you have this on your network is this IP address. If for some reason you go to the IP address and it doesn't show up and it's giving you a can't find address, just unplug the device, plug it back in, and then wait for it to boot and connect again. And the WirePod server should come up. And then from here, you can go ahead and finish the connection. So in most cases, unless you have an OSKR, a development vector, you leave this as escape pod. The SST language, you can change it to whichever one you want. I'm doing English. For weather API, if you want to be able to use the weather functionality, you can either go to openweathermap.org or Weather API to create an account, and they'll give you an API key there. And then you can choose here which one you want to use. So for now, I'm just going to keep it as none. But if you went to one of these places, you could do that here and then enter the API key and get that set up. And then knowledge graph, this is where you can either use Houndify. For that one, you need to create an account, or the same thing, OpenAI. And I would suggest OpenAI, just because, and the use case for this is when you ask Vector a question, and he needs to try. Well, I'm not saying he or it. He needs to figure out what you're trying to do. So if internally the knowledge graph doesn't know what to do, then it's going to default to one of these to try and figure out how to answer your question. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and put in my OpenAI key. Let me go ahead and get it. OpenAI. If I can remember how to get to this page. Get started. Okay, so the URL to go to would be platform.openai. Well, I'm already logged in, so this is my account that you're looking at. But in your case, you could go here and once you create an account, you can just, in your cases, you won't have a secret key. So I'm just going to create a new one. And you only view this once. So whatever it is, make sure you keep it. So I'm just going to copy this. It doesn't matter if you can see this. I'm going to delete it after this video. So I'll just copy this and then I'll go back to the setup and paste it there. And then, would you like to enable Internet Graph feature? This forwards requests to OpenAI. If the regular intent processor did not understand what you said, I'm going to say yes. Now, OpenAI is not free. They give you, let's see here, I think $18. And each time it gets used, it costs like 0.01 of a cent, 0.01 cents or something like that. So you have a lot of leeway if you want to enable this smart feature of OpenAI. And once the $18 is up, it'll just stop working. It will try and use its local knowledge graph to answer your questions. And if not, it'll forward it to OpenAI. But if you're out of money, then it won't work. So I've set up my key for OpenAI here. And then I'm going to say yes. And I'm just going to do submit settings. And then once that's doing, it's finalizing and initiating the language model download. So on the server, it's getting everything finalized and set up. And so we'll just wait for that to finish. And there it goes. That took about probably a minute, maybe. So this is what, when you go to your IP address 8080, this is what you'll see. Another way to test that this is working is if you type in escapepod.local and 8080. It should take you to the exact same place. Now, the reason why this is important is because if escapepod.local can't be found on your network, your vectors won't be able to communicate with your WirePod server. So this is one test to make sure that this is working. This just shows that it's working. If I go to my bot settings, you can see there are no bots here. So what I'm now going to do is connect the vector that I have to my local WirePod server. Okay, so my vector is on the charger, and I'm just going to double click the top to put it in pairing mode. Oh, let me go ahead and do that. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, if you don't see this, just make sure I believe the pins at the bottom were not connected, but when you double click on this, it should be in pairing mode. And then I'm going to click on pair with vector. Your computer has to have a Bluetooth enabled. You're not seeing the window that pops up, but it's showing me all the vectors that are available. And I'm going to pick the one that says R7E1 and click pair. And then the number I'm seeing on there is 359572. And I'm going to click enter pin. And then I'm going to connect it. So this is where you connect it to your local network. So you connect to Wi-Fi. And you can see in the top right here, this vector, when you put it in factory mode, it'll go to version 0.9.0. And then right now, it's getting the WirePod firmware installed on it. So this will take a couple minutes to install. And then once that's done, you will have to repair it again to activate it. So I'll just let this one go and then we'll see how long that takes. Okay, so once it's done, you should see this vector is disconnected, and then you just need to wait for it to pair again. That took roughly around 3 minutes to get done. And you don't have to wait for the T95 mini to reach you. If you want, you can go ahead and do this part so that when you get the box, you're ready to just automatically activate your vector against it. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting for vector to restart, which it's doing now. And then once that's restarted, I'll go ahead and pair it again on here. And you don't have to keep this page open, because I'll just go ahead and refresh. So right now I'm back here, still waiting for vector to come back up. And once it's up, hopefully it won't go off the charger. See, it's waking up. Okay, so now it's showing me a V. So I'm just gonna double click on it. And then it's in pairing mode. Then I'm gonna hit pair with vector. And pair again. Notice the firmware now says 2.0.16076. So it's been updated to the WirePod firmware. And I'm gonna connect it again to my Wi-Fi. So now what this will do, once it's connected to the Wi-Fi, the page will then figure out, are you on the right firmware? Do I need to update the firmware? The last time we were 0.9.0, so it knew it needed to update the firmware. But now it knows that I'm on the new one, so I don't need to update it. So here's where I click activate. So what this has done, it has found the WirePod in my network, and it's set the bot on there as one of the vectors. If you get an error saying your WirePod server is not found or your instance is not found, try going to escapepod.local. If you can't get to this site, then there's something wrong. So like here, this is my vector that's connected. Before this was empty, but now it's connected. So you want to make sure that escapepod.local works before you try and activate it against your WirePod server. So I'm just gonna fix. You can set your time zone, Fahrenheit, all this stuff. If you want to enable Alexa, you can. I'm not going to. I have way too many of those boxes all over the place. And then you can just do save settings. And then that should be it. And so now he's all set up. So I'm gonna go back here. And then I'm going to go to bot settings and I'm going to connect to them. And then I'm going to change. One of the things you can do is you can adjust the volume. And then it responds. Or you can change the eye color. And then I'm going to go lime green, purple, other green, or you can give it a custom one here and then just hit submit, and then it gets that color. Or there's so many other things you can do. Vector control is still in beta, but for this one, before you can do anything here, you need to assume control before it'll let you do anything. So like if I were to say hello world and then hit submit, it's not going to do anything. So you want to make sure, assume control. There's no physical feedback you're going to get here. But then after that, there you go. Vector is now controllable. And then obviously before you let go, you just hit release control. And then now let's go back and let's go to the log. So now the log, it showed me a new bot has been associated, the IP address that it has, and its serial number. The log will show you the commands that it gets that match the intents for vector. So like I want Vector to go to sleep. So I'll say, hey, Vector, go to sleep. So, funny thing, I have two other vectors on here, and they are now associated to this one. Well, not associated. And this is where this is where this, where is it called? The escape pod.local comes into play. So I have two other vectors that were associated to another box that I have. This is just me showing you how it works from the GitHub. But because I said the keyword, they all heard it, and they all went to escapepod.local to try and figure out what to do. So in here, you see the serial of my other bot and my other bot showing they matched the intent, and it was still able to connect to them, even though they're not associated. So that's one of the beautiful things about WirePod is like, as long as you have this box on your network, any vector bot that's been associated to one at one point will be able to use its features. So I'm going to try and do an OpenAI test. And then I'm going to show you on the box just how much resources it's actually using. So let me go ahead and pull that back up. So right now, this is the box itself. It has 2 gigs of memory, and right now it's only using 434 megabytes of that. There are 4 cores on here, and right now it's not doing anything. It's just listening for something to do. So I could say, hey, Vector, what is the theory of relativity? So if we go to the logs, you see nothing here is shown that it matched, because what it did is it went through the intent. And then if I go back here to my page, let's go ahead and check it takes a while for the usage to show up. But once it does, it will be here saying, hey, I got some requests from you. And then I figured out what that was. But you can hear all 3 of my bots responded, and the CPU usage did not, it spiked for that initial 1 second, but then it went back down. It's just idle, waiting for a response. So I could do another one. Hey, Vector, what is Chat GPT? Okay, so same thing. There's that initial spike where it's processing the requests, and then it handles it, and that's it. So this is the beautiful thing about having WirePod set up on your network. There's a lot more things that you can do with it. I'm going to be looking at custom intents, adding custom intents, and then adding more functionality to your little guy, so you can do more things when you actually get it up and running. So back to where's that? Yeah, so the logs, it just shows the last one when I said. So I'll say it again. Hey, Vector. Hey, Vector. Go to sleep. So there it is. All 3 got the message. They spiked for a little bit, but it went back down when it's processing, and now they're all asleep. Hopefully, this answers every question that you might have about setting the T95 Mini on your network and connecting it with Vector, and then getting intent set up if you want to use OpenAI. And as more features come out, I'll make more videos or more tweaks, or I get feedback from the community as to what to do. But definitely just want to thank Wire for making this, and DDL for allowing him to make it open source. I know there's a lot of flack DDL has been getting, but at least they allowed this to be open source, so that's good, because we wouldn't be able to do this without them. I don't know what happened, but the chipper framework which responds to this, Wire was able to get it up and running. If you have any questions, you can hit me on Facebook. I'm on the Reddit page, or you can contact me through my website. All right, that's it for now, and I will see you in the next one. Good luck.